Yeah.
I feel like you could have had a
Yeah.
song and dance number.
Oh yeah, we could have.
Yeah.
Sure, we did.
I treat it like one of those old like variety show hours that were on TV in the 70s, like the Paul Lynde Halloween special.
Hmm. You want us to do like a dance with Frankenstein?
What I want is I want the wall behind you to split open to reveal a grand stage with dancers like already ready to go, and you stand up from the couch gets pulled off screen on like a dolly, and then you just go into the song and dance number like we're the Smart Avengers and we're here to review a book. We're the Smart Avengers. Everybody give us a look.
Wow.
I was waiting to see what you would rhyme book with.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I chose to rhyme the word book and not Avengers. I feel like I would have written myself
Yeah,
a
that one could have been awkward.
corner. No, no. Well, welcome to Smart Avengers, everybody. This is Corey. That was our song and dance number.
Sure.
And guys, well, of course, joining me here as always is Dylan and John. Guys, how is it going?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Well, I think we're here to do something we've been talking about doing for a few weeks now. It's time.
5 weeks.
It's time. It's Vader time. We're gonna talk about the Kang Dynasty.
Well, of course, famously Kang, the master of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we took our time with it.
because he was
So
gonna
that
steal it otherwise.
something Kang, whatever, you know. Because there's a link in there somewhere. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, do the math yourself.
We actually recorded this episode like 300 years in the future, and then sent it back in time, through the Kang time.
Continue.
What does he use? Continuum. The Kang
Mm.
shoot. Corey didn't like Kang shoot.
Well, so I wanted to go into this story blind, but I was like,
Uh-oh.
well, I'm gonna pull up some of like just the basic information about it to kind of give like the lead up to us really talking about the story.
Oh
And
dear.
what I saw was so okay. So everybody, this is a Marvel Comics event that we're going to be discussing. We've done things like this in the past. Like we did Nightfall, the storyline where Batman gets his back broken. We've done Death of Superman, where we take a storyline and we really kind of go into it, because not all of us have read everything. So Dylan has been talking about wanting to do King Dynasty for a bit because he bought the trade and it broke him in a manner.
I would say that's correct.
So I was like, okay, sure, yeah, we'll do that. I don't think I know anything about this storyline because I think it was in that era where I was kind of tuned out of comic books. And I wanted to just pull it up again to give some basic information. And
This seems like a bad idea.
a 16-part comic book storyline, which ran through
Yeah.
Avengers 41 through 55 and Avengers
Yes.
Annual 2001 between June 2001 and August of 2002.
Yeah.
Like, this is over a year-long story.
You can see why I took 10 pages of notes.
It was written by Kurt Busiek and illustrated by several artists, including Alan Davis, Kieran Dwyer, Ivan Reis, and Manuel Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
There's no...
Was
there
the
what?
year-long bit the thing you were shocked about?
Yeah, like how long that took. You don't really see that. I mean, like, fuck, Age of Revelation is the current Marvel Comics storyline that's going on, this event, and it's only like 3 months and it feels fucking long in comparison.
I want you to remember.
We don't do year-long storylines anymore.
I want you to remember that this was a year-long storyline, and people had to wait, like a month to get the next issue or whatever. I want you to remember that. Okay?
We'll do.
Not for any particular moment. Just there's going to be some issues where you're like, I have to wait a month for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would be pissed if that was like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens. And then you see what happens, and you're like, well, that was, I'm going to say, relatively disappointing. So, the choreo, I think I'll cover the art in the thumbnail pretty accurately. Just for anybody that's interested, this is if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the picture of the Kang Dynasty omnibus,
Should
which I will now turn to the side and show you that this is as thick as the Bible. I think the cover is that's quite an iconic cover.
Yeah, it's striking.
It really is, and that was part of it too. Like, I was intrigued about this. I was intrigued. Like I said, I wasn't. Avengers is kind of my blind spot when it comes to Marvel comics. I don't really read a whole lot of Avengers stuff. And after having, all the talk about Kang and in the films and whatnot, they were going to make him the big bad. I got interested in Kang because I realized that was a villain like I didn't know anything about. So, what better place to start learning about Kang than with his own dynasty? I thought. And I got it for a pretty good price. I think it was on eBay, and it was like 20 something pound, but they did a deal on it where they put it down to about 18, I think. And I was like, that's acceptable. For a whole year's worth of comics, 18 pounds is all right. You know what I mean? Like, you could go to buy a trade paperback with 5 issues in it, and it'll be like $10.99. Do you know what I mean? So this I thought was a steal. And I'm gonna say a lot happens in it. I don't know if it's a great story, but a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is that like a comics thing where pacing and stuff is a very important thing in comics. You need to know how to pace things and to get people interested in the next issue and stuff. And is it possible that at some point people who write comics got really into the idea of what if we make this 14 issues as opposed to what if we pace the story correct?
Now,
You
I'm going to say something critical of a man who I know you're both very big fans of, but I believe it was Brian Michael Bendis who introduced the term deconstructed storytelling. Where one storyline lasts a very long time, mainly because of pacing. Like a Bendis Avengers comic, for example, could have several pages of just talking heads. And that would eat up time and lengthen the story out from that. So this is from around that same time period. If it's early 2000s Marvel. I will say that it is not late enough, though, to be a Bendis influence. Because this is early 2000s Marvel. This is like we're heading into bankruptcy Marvel.
And you can see why.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see why. Should we just
dive in?
Fly through it? Because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's just dive on in.
John, are you happy to go and just let's do the show? You ready? Okay. So the way this whole debacle begins is Kang the Conqueror and his son, the Scarlet Centurion, and their big ship, which is a giant sword,
Cleverly
appeared.
called Damocles base as well.
Yes, it's very
on the nose,
very clever, very clever business. So the ship, I don't know if this in the future they figured out that the most aerodynamic way to make a spaceship that travels through time is to make it in the shape of a sword, or if this was just a symbolic thing on Kang's part. But he seemed to think that was a good idea.
Yeah, I'll just cut you off and say that in space, I don't think you have to worry about aerodynamics.
You have to worry about some kind of velocity and shaping of your ship.
Do you?
I think.
I don't think you have to.
At some point, when you leave one atmosphere and go into another atmosphere.
Yeah, that's atmosphere, though.
Yes, but you would have to do that with the ship at some point. You would have to launch a sword-shaped ship from one atmosphere into space. I can't imagine that would be very aerodynamic.
I'm just saying, like, if he's we're gonna get into I don't want to get into Star Trek talk because when I say you don't bring the Enterprise into atmosphere, that thing just stays up there. Shit leaves it.
Okay, but it has to get up there. Is my point.
Yeah, they get built in there.
They build it in space.
Yeah. They didn't build
Seen birth.
the Death Star got built in space. If we're gonna use another science fiction terminology, they didn't just start
Haven't
out
seen
on a
that.
planet and they's like, well, we gotta get that thing up there before it gets too heavy.
That makes the most sense.
I didn't think it was going to take this long for us to get off the beaten track already, but
To be
That's what I was
fair,
afraid of. That was my fault.
to be fair, that's how long it takes the issue to get off the beaten track. We get a couple of pages in where Kang is like, I'm gonna fuck up Earth. And then we see Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man riding a horse.
yeah.
Both of these characters can fly.
Riding horses.
Why?
Just hanging out riding horses. So, yep. Fair enough. Basically, stuff happens where all the Avengers get summoned to the United Nations because there's some sort of a happening, a kerfuffle, if you will, at the United Nations, and they find out that it's the Scarlet Centurion who has turned up. Whoops. He has arrived at the United Nations and he says, listen, people of Earth, I'm here to address you on behalf of my leader, Kang the Conqueror. And he wants all of Earth to just surrender right now because he wants Earth. So, pretty sweet deal. And wouldn't you know, the Avengers turn up and we're like, we don't think that's cool. So we don't want to do that. And they have a fight with the Scarlet Centurion, who, to his credit, ends up fighting off most of the Avengers by himself. Right? So at some
You'd
point,
hope the son of Kang the Conqueror wouldn't be a pushover.
well, bear that in mind. Keep all of this stuff in your head. This is why we need notes, okay? Bear that, remember that. Keep that, pinpoint that. We'll come back to that. So our boy Triathlon is knocking around, by the way. This is also important. You will come back later. Warbird, a.k.a. Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel. She has the ability to, like, suck people's energy out of them, or suck energy from stuff. To get, that's not, I don't know why that's funny, that's the truth. And so she tries to, like, grab his rod, his power rod. John! This is in the book. And whenever she gets close to the Scarlet Centurion, they both have some sort of feeling whenever she sucks on his power rod. We're not even halfway through the first issue. Where they have a feeling that they've met before, they know each other before. There's some sort of
connection,
mutual understanding between the two of them.
At
some point, Kang the Conqueror turns up because he's like, what the fuck? Why are you fighting my son? This was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
You all
surrender,
and then I own Earth, and then that's the end. Yeah. So, this is important. The big sword spaceship is pointed at Earth, and it is pointed at the United Nations building. And Kang goes, you think I don't mean business? Watch this shit. And he shoots a big laser from the sword, and the laser just obliterates the United Nations building. Just destroys the whole thing, right? So everybody's like, well, you've killed all of the important politicians that were inside the United Nations building. And then Kang goes, no, I didn't. They're all here. I've saved them all. They're trapped in, like, weird energy bubbles. But I did destroy the building symbolically. And that's the end of issue 1. Okay?
That's what I call a hook right there.
Yep.
So he saves the politicians for no reason. Okay? Put a pin in that too. I want you to write down all the pins I'm putting in things because I will forget. I can come back to them and explain them all. So that's issue 1. John, have you any further notes about that?
No, that pretty much covers it.
Pretty succinct, I think. Issue 2 in this collection is issue 42. We see Kang the Conqueror and the Scarlet Centurion. And Kang reveals to everybody that because he's from the future, he knows more about the future than they do. And he says, for example, I know how to protect the planet I came from, the Earth I know. But if a lot of different threats come to your Earth, are you prepared? The Avengers are prepared for, you know, superficial supervillains that pop up. But are you really prepared for like an actual threat to all of Earth? For example, what if in the future of Earth you end up fighting really weird ghost-like radioactive creatures
Yeah, like zombies.
like zombies that could like take over your bodies and stuff, but they're all like weird and radioactive and green. Um, they have like a hive mind. What would you do if that feature hurt the Earth? How would you combat that? You know, you didn't think about that kind of thing. What if over industrialization concentrates wealth and power in a tiny upper class, and robotics eliminate the need for a working class? What if that ends up being a future that you're unprepared for? Any of these or 1,000 more. How prepared are you to do this? What you should do is just put yourselves in my hands, because I'm the only one that can lead you to greatness. I can save you. I'm here to do you a favor, is what he's saying. And all the while this is happening, the government are like, let's just fucking fire a bunch of rockets at Kang's ship. So they let him talk for a while. And appreciate that. Don't like that. That's not cool. So he comes up with a different plan. What he's going to do is he announces ahead of time what he's going to do. He says, "Oh, I'm going to have my people, my warriors come. They're going to take over Europe. They're going to take over France and Germany first, and then I'm going to put a like a figurehead in Europe and branch outwards that way. And then eventually the whole world will fall in my hands. And if heroes will undergo the re-education that will make them loyal soldiers, the rest of the world's able-bodied population will be conscripted." And basically he's saying he's going to use Earth as like a good way to defend other places. Colony ships will be sent. Great armaments are built, defenses against the threats to come based on the Earth. So he's like, this will be amazing. This will be like a part of the biggest empire you've ever seen. He also says anybody who rises up against the present masters who take control of a part of the world's inhabitable surface and swears fealty
Yep.
to me, they shall have a place in the new order. So he's basically saying if you're a villain and you want to like just turn on everybody and side with me, you're in.
There you go.
And he is transmitting this message across the world. The next thing you know, a bunch of Atlanteans rise up, who are led by Tuma. And then in China, a bunch of deviants rise up from underground, I guess. And then I think there's something else. But anyway, what Kang is saying is that,
isn't at this point like Captain America has got his own Avengers team in Russia
yes,
investigating the disappearance of the Winter Guard.
yes. So as Kang finishes his spiel, he's saying, "Listen, more people will fall. You all need to work with me here." And then he kind of like disappears because he says, "All that stuff that I warned you about at the very beginning, look to the east because it's already beginning." And then we go to the east. We go to Russia, where Captain America and Thor and Quicksilver and
Black Knight and Firebird.
Firebird, Darkstar.
This is sounding like a lot like our Avengers auction we had the time before last.
You better remember the name of every Avenger we talked about because they are going to pop up. So these group of Avengers are in Russia, and then this issue ends because those freaky ass radioactive ghost things that Kang mentioned turn up, and they are being led by the Presence. And that's the end of that issue. Corey, do you have any questions about that one?
It sounds a lot like when people criticize Jonathan Hickman for getting too into world building. Like there was just a lot of detail there that I didn't think we really needed to know or care about, and I feel like it just added on to itself in that sense. And I just can't imagine you read issue 1 of that going, man, I cannot wait to see how this pans out because we're getting into civics.
Yeah, it feels like it could be a little bit more concise and to the point.
Yeah, I still am not 100% sure exactly. I mean, I understand why Kang probably wants to take over the Earth because his last name's the Conqueror. So,
Yeah.
kind of goes without saying, but yeah. His methodology is sort of like, I would love to see like a storyline where someone wants to take over the Earth, but then like someone makes them think, okay, yeah, but then what are you going to do? You're in charge of the Earth. What then?
Kang talked about that. He was just going to use Earth as like a base, a military base for him to expand his own forces within the galaxy.
Yeah, but then who's gonna run?
So he was just going to use Earth's resources as a defense for like his other shit that he cares more about.
That's fair. It still doesn't sound like terribly well thought out, but
Put a pin in that.
okay. Issue 2.
Also put a pin in issues just ending with some guy turning up.
Yeah, the presence or the pleasance.
The presence. I didn't know who the presence was.
Oh, nor did I.
And I'm going to guess that after having read more issues, you didn't get a whole lot of conclusive answers.
Nope.
So we're going to go into issue 43. John, do you have any further notes about that last issue?
Nope, not really.
I think we covered everything. All right, issue 43. This explains a little bit of the presence and his wife or significant other, who is called Starlight. And they're hanging out with their dead son, who is called Vanguard. He is in like glass case. And the presence is like, boy, I wish he was still alive. Wait, I've just had a great idea. What if I just like shrink myself down and then go inside him and then just like travel through his body and then use my power while I'm inside his body to just like make him alive again. Okay? Are we following this so far?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I did find out that you can be the presence in the Lego Avengers games. So.
Wow. It does not seem like that important of a character.
Mm-hmm.
He turns up in Lego.
I bet he would look cool in Lego.
He looks okay.
So the presence brings back his son Vanguard, who from now on will play no further part in this story. He will never be mentioned again. The presence realizes that after bringing his son back to life, he realizes the only thing he can do to save Russia is to turn all Russia people into radioactive ghost zombies with a hive mind, and that he will be the leader of them. But that happens in about 4 pages. Okay? That whole bit, it just happens, and you're like, oh, sweet, off we go. So then we cut to the Avengers fighting these weird things. We cut to a different set of Avengers fighting the Atlanteans in Canada. We cut to a different set of Avengers fighting the Deviants in China. And this kind of happens a lot through this issue, is like going back and forth with these different groups of Avengers fighting each other. One thing that's interesting is at some point, Hank Pym kind of turns up, and he's very jovial and very fun. And everybody, but he's dressed as Yellow Jacket, and everybody's like, "What's that about?"
Because he was dressed as Goliath before this.
He was dressed as Goliath at the beginning, and now he's dressed as the Yellow Jacket, and he's very funny and witty and.
That usually means that he's snapped. Is usually when that happens, though.
That one.
Okay.
So that group of Avengers beat up the Atlanteans, and they managed to kind of stop that. Stingray turns up because why the fuck wouldn't he?
Smart Avengers' favorite.
So, Kang just watches all this shit happen a lot. That's a big factor. It's like Kang just watches shit happen.
He's just hanging out,
just up in his spaceship going, can you believe this shit? Basically, it's a lot of that happening. At some point, Hank Pym, Yellow Jacket, faints and then starts to turn invisible. Okay,
All right.
Mm-hmm.
he starts to turn invisible. The other Avengers that were fighting the Russian ghosts, radioactive ghosts, they actually end up joining the hive mind, except for Thor. So Quicksilver and Captain America and um, Black Knight, I think, become radioactive ghosts.
Yeah.
That is the end of issue 43. Any questions? Any further notes?
So, all right, real quick.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Our alien invasion that's led by a time traveler has been kind of hit sideways by characters turning into radioactive ghosts and going invisible.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I'm just glad I'm still on the ball here.
I think one thing that we should point out to that point there, Corey, is that in the Kang Dynasty, in 3 issues, Kang has blown up the UN building, saved all the people inside it, and then that's about it.
That's evil.
Yeah. He just hates the infrastructure. It was a horrible building.
The architecture was
So-
a nightmare.
Yeah, I know. They needed to redesign that whole building. So, off we go to the Avengers Annual 2001. This one. Oh, boy. Oh. When I read this, I'm like, there's a lot of retconning going on in this. This issue is mostly about Hank Pym.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hank Pym turns invisible and faints. And then he at some point whispers to the Wasp, "Hey, you have to go find the other fake Hank Pym. I don't want him to die." Go to, what was it, the Hornets Hideaway?
Yeah, which is in like a tree in the Avengers front garden or something.
Yeah, which I really love, the idea that he would, because he's Ant-Man, he could just make a tiny little base for himself that nobody would ever find. That's very
Mhm.
sweet. So the Wasp can also, she can go into that place. And when she's in there, she sees a different Hank Pym just hanging out in like a tube. Let me just real quickly show you what that looks like. That's old Hanky Pym
It's on his head.
in the tube. Some kind of a fishbowl.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay, so this is where things start to get a little sticky. Okay,
Oh, I'm glad
the
it's
Wasp
here.
is trying to find answers. Listen, if you feel it's got sticky so far, this is the easiest run at the moment. Okay,
Yeah.
bear all of this in mind. So, find out somebody that can help the Pims with their problem, and they come. Triathlon notices
Another
one of the
favorite
people.
show.
Wow, he's going to
Mhm.
factor into this pretty heavily. He finds out that there's a guy he used to know called Jonathan Tremont, who is the head of a Triune Understanding group. He used to be in the group, and he left them at some point, but he knows that guy is probably useful and might be able to help with his expertise. They all travel to the Triune Understanding, and this Jonathan Tremont does some kind of weird mind meld thing. So the 2 Pims are on, beds, flat beds in front of him. He puts his hands down over both their heads. It's like, we can communicate with the Pims, okay, right? And so he tries to communicate with them, and then in their own heads, they're fighting each other. Yellow Jacket versus Goliath. They're both having a fight. And they wonder what they're fighting about. They all assume they're fighting about the Wasp. So somehow she gets put into this dreamscape as well. And they realize that she's not really who they're fighting about. The person they end up fighting over is a different Hank Pym.
Oh.
A third
The
Hank Pym.
original.
The original Hank Pym. So they come to terms with this. Okay, real quickly, before I finish that off, we should mention during this, there's a little interlude where we realize that Justice and Firestar, 2 more Avengers, have stowed away and gone undercover in the Triune Understanding to try and find out what they're up about. Okay? I don't know why this group is important, but
I feel like there must have been something that was happening in the comics before,
because
you know.
Triathlon was part of the group and then he went to the Avengers. These 2 guys are now from the Avengers infiltrating this group. There must be something going on.
Yeah.
What the context is. So they realize that the Trio and Understanding are building a big spaceship for some reason. Very suspicious, isn't it? Why would they want to build a big spaceship? Anyway, so the Hank Pyms have a heart to heart amongst the 3 of their weird mind meld, okay? And then they grow to accept each other, and then Hank Pym wakes up, okay? Now, I want to flash you back to, I would say 2 minutes ago when I told you that there were 2 Hank Pyms from beds. And then Hank Pym wakes up. Do they combine? Where did the other Hank Pym go?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. One Hank Pym now.
I'm glad that C plot has been resolved.
Finally, we got to the answer about who is the real Hank Pym. It turns out it was Hank Pym the entire time.
And it just took a whole annual to figure it out as well.
Fucking annual. Well, not quite the whole
back in
annual.
the day, annuals used to be like a really good like one-off story, but I feel like they've been passing off some garbage for annuals for the last 20-some years.
So real quick, at the end of this annual, there is a little extra story with Jarvis, who is replying to emails, and the emails are like, why is Tony Stark alive? And why does the Wasp not look like a weird wasp creature anymore?
These are both to Avengers fan mail. Like, what's he?
Yeah, I think so.
I was about to say, like, I can't imagine, like, this incoming message from the Fantastic Four. How come Wasp doesn't look like a bug?
I think he's responding to like people in the government, but he's basically saying, look, after the events of Onslaught, when the Avengers were taken away into the Heroes Reborn universe and brought back again, they were brought back again based on the way that Franklin Richards remembered them being. And he didn't remember the Wasp being a weird bug thing. And he did not remember Tony Stark being A, dead, or B, a child version of himself that they brought from the past to the present.
So they used
because
Onslaught,
Kang
basically.
killed the original.
So, like, Heroes Reborn essentially was just like, let's retcon all the dumb ideas that we had for a bit there.
Yeah. Essentially,
so this is a meta Marvel just saying, don't worry about it.
Yes, this end bit is them kind of explaining, listen, this is what it is, and we're moving on. The Butler says it, we're moving on. They've moved on. That is the annual. Okay? Any questions, or do we have any other notes for that one?
Nope.
No,
I think that one was pretty cut and dry.
I'm still trying to figure out where the plot started.
Of the annual?
Of the story in general. Like, I'm looking at the hero's journey and I'm not finding step 1.
Well, maybe this will change your tune. So we start off issue 44 with our good friend Stingray.
Fan favorite.
Stingray is fighting some of the Atlanteans. And we go to other Avengers, the ones that are fighting the Deviants in China. We go back to the Avengers fighting in Russia. This happens for a couple of issues where these 3 different fights are happening at one time, and then Kang just watches it happen. The Deviants make a deal where they will put their strongest warrior up against Carol Danvers to see who is best, and whoever is the best gets to control the Deviants or whatever. Not interesting. And then in Russia, Thor is pretty much the only one that can stop the Presence, who has the ability to control the radioactive ghosts. And Thor figures out that the best way to stop the Presence is to just use his hammer somehow.
Yeah.
Solid.
There is I think as well he just uses his rage as well, because he's so angry at the fact that he thinks like Cap and Co have basically been killed by the Presence.
Yeah. So he just gets just something with his hammer, and then the presence dies. Well,
No, he doesn't even die. He's just
doesn't die. They say the presence does not respond. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
put a pin in that one. Carol Danvers ends up beating up the Deviants champion, so she becomes the leader of the Deviants, and she disbands them, or because they had they had broken away from their own crew to do what Kang wanted them to do, because that's what Kang wanted everybody to do. So Carol Danvers kind of puts a pin in that and stops that. And then with Thor destroying the presence, or reversing that or whatever, he ends up just saving all of the ghost radioactive people, so they're no longer ghosts or radioactive. Okay.
Pretty useful.
Yeah, I didn't know his hammer could do that, but it does. So that's what happens there. So it seems like everybody's winning at the moment. Again, not against Kang, but everybody's winning, and the government think, okay, this could be sticky. What are we gonna do here? I know. Why don't we build some big ass sentinels? Yeah.
Why not?
Happy enough? That's the end of that issue. Any questions? Any notes?
Nope.
Is this now? Are these literally the Sentinels? Like, are we gonna get some X-Men crossover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, no real X-Men crossover, but
they are the real Sentinels.
Okay.
Well, there will be no X-Men crossover, because if there was, the Sentinels would just beat up the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Sentinels do, for the most part, seem to job out to the X-Men pretty frequently. But this isn't an X-Men podcast right now. It's an Avengers podcast. By all means, please continue.
Funny enough. So we're going into issue 45. So we are still 10 issues away from the end of this fucking thing. And I'm trying to motor through this, all right? I'm trying. So Kang is gathering his forces in the future or whatever, all of his crazy armies and stuff like that, and he plans on making a big shoot for space. He puts a lot of faith all the way through this. He's put a lot of faith in his son, the Scarlet Centurion. He's really trying to be like, when I'm gone, this will all be yours, son.
Trying to be a good dad.
Yeah, he's a great dad. If my dad invented time travel and then conquered loads of shit and then give all of it to me, I'd be like, thanks a lot.
Yeah, but this is the issue where he basically recounts how Scarlet Centurion was born because he picked out a slave that he thought was attractive and essentially raped her. So, yeah, not great.
Listen, it's the future. Things are different. Things are different in the future. I mean, look, he's already blew up the UN building and left all the politicians alive. I don't agree with everything Kang does, okay? That would have been my first protocol. So Captain America and the other Avengers, some of the other Avengers, there are 50 fucking Avengers in this Legion team. So this is Captain America and Thor, and then I think the Wasp is here as well. So they meet with the government, the Pentagon, to talk about what they're going to do and how they're going to move forward. There's a lot of waffle in this. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff where they're the Avengers talking to each other,
trying to tell the government that the Sentinels are a bad idea and they shouldn't send them up there to attack Kang's ship.
That's true, but a lot of this issue itself is just the Avengers talking to each other.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's really boring. And then after Captain America is like, I don't think the Sentinels are a good idea, then these big fuck off towers rise up under the ground, in a big wall formation, just around the United States in different places. Okay?
Okay.
And then everybody goes, what the fuck was that? And then the perpetrator of this attack appears on a big screen in the Pentagon, because if he has the power to raise up walls of shit from underground, he has the power to just appear on a TV screen in the Pentagon. And the person who did this is, of course,
Avalanche,
the master of the world. That's the end of that issue.
Yep.
The Master of the World.
Yes, the Master of the World.
I thought that was like the lead up to somebody's new, like, oh, the Master of the World, the leader or something.
Nope,
Nope.
his name is the Master of the World. And that's
All right, hold on. Just so I can understand, we have introduced so far the Presence, who the Presence was an old villain from back in the day. I did see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they just kind of a reimagined look for him. But the Presence as a cliffhanger at the end of an issue, and now the leader of the world, or the Master of the World.
The Master of the World.
Master of the World, yeah.
Sid Vicious.
If you show some respect.
It's...
So that's 2 issues that have just ended with some fucking guy that isn't Kang the Conqueror turning up to go, I'm the big deal now. Now remember how quickly the Presence disappeared. He turned up, he was the boss for about 2 issues, and then he died. Well, he failed to respond. So now we're in issue 46, and we're all happy enough with how things are going.
Yep.
We'll say sure.
Okay, hang on. So we are now on issue 46. Kang's forces have decided to attack Europe like he said they would. So they start beating up France. And here we see a lot of armament, a lot of, preparations done by the armies of the world, but also the Avengers are also here. So Thor and She-Hulk and a bunch of other Avengers are in France just beating the shit out of people. We now see that in America, there are big, rocky-looking walls that have risen out of the ground that were the responsibility of the Master of the World. And they're all very suspicious about this. They're like, why did this happen now? So these weird, like, things just turn up, and Stingray starts to chase one of them down. Chases it underwater, which was a bad move because Stingray can go underwater. He chases that thing underwater. So we'll come back to that in a second. At some point, the Vision and Triathlon were talking about infiltrating the trio, understanding themselves to learn more about this mysterious group that nobody gives a fuck about.
It feels like there's more important things to be doing right now than...
Seriously, like, this is not the time. But they think this is the time. The Vision, like a very smart person, is like, we gotta start fucking around with these guns.
It seems like so far we've introduced the A plot, but we don't really want to talk about the A plot. We're more focused on B and C and D right now.
I will say, what are we, like, starting in 41, and we were in 46 now?
Yeah.
And we have seen Kang, like, 5 times.
Yeah, how is this the A plot? Because it doesn't seem like the A plot.
You can see why I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, Triathlon and the Vision go to the trio understanding to learn more about them. And they realize that some sort of big evil force is coming and it will reach Earth within days. Now, I would argue that up to this point, we have seen a giant sword that blew up the UN base, and we've seen radioactive ghost monsters from Russia. I would say a big evil has already appeared at least once, potentially twice, in the Earth. But regardless, they think that's important. So Stingray follows that weird monster thing through a tube, I guess. And it leads him to the Master of the Universe's base. Master of the World, I'm sorry. I'm not the one giving him respect now. So the Master of the World has kidnapped a bunch of politicians. And he has put them in like stasis pods or whatever, where he can talk to them. And he plans on ruling the world himself. And he wants them to, do his bidding for him. One of the reasons he put those big rocky walls around this is okay, John. I might need your assistance with this.
Mm-hmm.
The Master of the World has put barriers all around North America.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give a fuck about the rest of the world.
Essentially, yeah.
The master of the world
Uh,
cares about one specific part of the world. Because while this shit's happening in Europe, in Germany and France, there are no walls, there are no defenses made by the master of the world. He pretty much explicitly says, I only did it around North America because that's the bit I want. Right? Okay?
Well, so
But
he is a reoccurring foe of Alpha Flight. So he has a real strong
Right.
attachment to Canada.
It doesn't even seem like he's talking about Canada. It feels more like he's talking about the United States. And he might mean all of North America. I will say that Mexico is not going to mention it. So he might not mean all of North America, if you know what I'm talking about.
So, I mean, his character is that he's basically just a really smart caveman who got some alien tech and has been alive this whole time. But yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say his origin is revealed in this issue as well, and it's like
They talk about that.
it's pretty uninspired.
I want to point out that Stingray is listening to all this happening in the base.
When his
Okay?
big fucking wing thing's up against the wall, leaning in.
Put a pin in that. Okay?
A lot of
So-
pins going on here, Dylan. It's gonna look like a voodoo
I hope
doll.
you keep track, man. Because I need to come back to some of these. That one's important. To me, that one's important.
Because Stingray is a fan favorite.
So, well, not that part. So once they realize Stingray is in the Master of the World's base, the Avengers, Yellow Jacket, that Hank Pym, Quicksilver, Warbird, and who is the other one? Whoever this is. whatever Avenger
Silverfang?
that is.
Silverfang?
Sure.
She could turn her body
All
into like
right.
metal animal stuff. Is that
Yeah,
that looks
so
like
that
what's
one.
happening there.
Because you want to sell in your best and brightest to beat up the Master of the World. They all go to the Master of the Universe, or the Master of the World, and once they arrive at his base, he starts to laugh at them, and he says, "Did you really think you could hide from me, Avengers, in my own base?" Now you remember the pin I put in 2 pages ago, where the Stingray was in his
Yeah.
fucking base? He didn't notice that. How did he not notice the Stingray, but he noticed the other cons in the base? Huh?
Maybe he just doesn't care about Stingray.
I agree. I can understand that. I'm just saying, stuff like this seems to happen a lot. So, the Master of the World has a bunch of weird alien creature things. They all fight the Avengers. And then the Master of the World thinks, you guys are really good at fighting my weird creature things, but I have a better plan. I'm just going to blow up my base. And then the base explodes.
Fuck
okay? Yeah.
They beat my animals.
So-
That was plan one, plan A, plan B. I got none. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Blow up the base. The base explodes. Cut to Captain America. And a hologram of Kang the Conqueror turns up. And the hologram says, I told you not to touch my base, and you guys did. So now this is a proper war. I'm going to fuck you all up. And that's the end of that issue. Do we have any notes? Any questions?
So we are still not partway through the story, but plot A seems like it's starting.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So
That's yeah. I mean, Dylan, you kind of put the bow on it right there. So this is part
Well,
one
yes.
of our Kang Dynasty review. So
Yes.
far, what we have had happen is we've had a B plot line. At least 2 B plot lines get started, and a C plot line. Well, no, 1 B plot line started and ended. Another B plot line sounds like it's on its way to being ended, and then we have a C plot line that's still happening that seems to have more focus on it than the A plot line. So A is Kang. B1 was the presence. B2 was the Master of the World.
Okay.
And C is whatever the fuck's going around with Atreus. The thing Vision's
No.
really worried about.
Yes. The trio understanding.
Understanding. Yeah.
So that
Yes.
seems to be, even though like on paper when you're talking about like the storyline, that seems like it's going to be the least important story, but it's also the one that seemingly had the most focus.
Maybe put a pin in that.
Okay. All right.
Jesus, this pinboard is looking like
Oh, it's like
Charlie's.
Charlie Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Dylan, I guess my
It's pretty
question
long.
is, at this point in the story, you've not given up. Even though like
Oh yeah.
you see the title, The Kang Dynasty, you see the cover art for this book, and we're just talking about the omnibus, right? Like single issues, every cover is going to look different, but this is the omnibus. This is the image they wanted to go with. And they give you this intense giant Kang stabbing the earth with a thing. And you're like, oh shit, this is going to be action packed. But it sounds like it's action packed for like the wrong reasons. Like
It's
the
I
B
wouldn't say it's
storylines have action in it by the sound of it, but it's not. It has nothing to do with the alien invasion except for like tertiary things.
right. Yes, I wouldn't say that it's packed full of action. I believe at the beginning of the show I said that stuff happens.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we can agree that stuff has happened.
Stuff has happened.
Stuff has happened. And there's a lot of pins and stuff, but that will explain that in the second half of the show.
Yep. All right. Well,
You can see why I would want to talk about this, couldn't
yeah.
you?
And it's also featuring that really dark era of the Avengers where you have Triathlon and Stingray and Silverclaw and stuff as members.
1,000 Avengers. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's a lot of Avengers and they aren't important. And you can kind of see like why when they gave the book to Brian Michael Bendis shortly after this, they were like, Bendis, clear house, man. And he was like, cool. And he just started doing just that.
It turns out it's really easy to clean house when half of the Avengers suck ass.
Yeah.
Easily forgotten.
Not Triathlon, though. Our best friend.
Our Triathlon, who very famously was our final spin of the wheel on our third Avengers Spin the Wheel episode.
That's why I wanted to talk about the Kang Dynasty, because Triathlon has appeared quite frequently through this. You'll notice he's appeared. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, I want to say, I keep hearing his name, but I don't hear anything saying like, oh yeah, and then he totally karate chopped that guy, or he broke the case. It's just, he was also happened to be there.
Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. All right, well, we're going to put a pin in this episode for now, though. That was part 1 of our Kang Dynasty. We're going to decide to split this up into 2 after it being 16 issues long, and we're maybe at the halfway point now after the annual and issue 46. So
we're going into issue 47, yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to hold off on John talking about what movies he's watched for the year, and we're going to hold off. Well, I'm not going to hold off on promoting stuff because you guys need to get your stuff out there. People need to see your business. So, John, if someone did want to see what movies you had been watching and reviewing, where can they go to find this information?
They can head to Letterboxd and find me at Big John Bowski, all one word.
And Dylan, you get up to stuff during the week as well. Tell us a little bit more about your radio show and your Twitch stream.
So on Monday nights, I do a radio show on bouncedigitalradio.co.uk. You can listen to it anywhere in the world if you put it into your web browser and you have access to the internet. I do my show at 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Monday nights. So check that out if you're interested. Rock music, pretty cool. We play all sorts of music. And sometimes I stream on Twitch, Spooky LaRue, where I draw pictures. And then I animate those pictures and put them on YouTube at Team Crows NI. So if you like that stuff, I would appreciate it.
There you go.
We're on TikTok. I think it's the same on TikTok.
There you go. And I have other stuff that happens occasionally. They've been on a break at the moment, but by the time this comes up, maybe I've started again. You tell me. But all of that is down in the description below. Like you said, we will see you all next week as we dive deeper into the world of the Kang Dynasty. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.